Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are. I am DOZ, with me is Zam, and we are here to break down The Last of Us Episode 3. Long time. But first, before we start, we want to dedicate this episode to Annie Wersching, the voice of Tess in The Last of Us video game. She passed away from cancer yesterday at the young age of 45, and we would like to offer our condolences to her and her family during this difficult time. May she rest in peace. Do you have
Yeah,
anything you'd like to add?
I've seen this actress before in various things. She does have a familiar face. I had no idea she played Tess in the video games. 45 is way too young. Same age as I am. And I'm gonna
Mm,
be 46 in a few months. Way too young, So yeah, rest in peace.
yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and let's go ahead and break this motherfucker down. I think first things first. This is actually one of the best episodes, just in general, of television that I have ever seen. I really liked it. But all right, so this time around, there are no time jumps. There's no cold open, and it picks up right where it left off with uh, Ellie and Joel leaving the state house, and they're set off on foot to go see Bill and Frank, and they have made it 10 miles outside of Boston. And
Yeah, it's
go
quite
ahead.
remarkable how much it looks like bloody Montana. This area of America, but
Mm,
with mountain ranges and streams and so on. But it was nice seeing him build some sort of like stone memorial
mm-hmm,
uh, for Tess. Grieving in the way he can.
mm-hmm.
Bringing the situation that he's in at this moment in time.
Yep.
No problem, boss man. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time, boss man. Yeah, they and then in this one, here's where it differs from the video game. They actually break down how the pandemic actually started, where it was like it started with like food getting contaminated and all that kind of stuff. Like it would be in like sugar and flour and pancake mix and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I
And
think he brought up the pancake mix because at one point they were about to eat it in the first episode,
mm-hmm,
and also once again it triggers a memory of his daughter
yep,
as well. So, yeah, then this is obviously at the same time his kind of best guess of the scenario because he only knows so much himself. But within 2 days of it breaking out in America, which was his birthday, by the way. Um, actually, just after 2 days, Friday, it breaks out. By Saturday, so by Monday, the
the
world's in a
world is
different place.
yep.
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, and then yeah, Joel is kind of grumpy because now you start to see the dynamic of how it was in the video game, and then they come across like that path of like, do we take the road or do we take the other way? And then Joel's like, well, the road is easier, but it's something that you just shouldn't see. And then Ellie decides we're going to take the road anyway, and they see a bunch of skulls and whatnot. And then Joel tells her like, this is how it was. Like during the time that all this happened, if you could make it into the QZ, you could make it, but not everybody did, and this is the result of what happened. And the reason why people were the way they were is because dead people can't be infected, as Joel would say.
yeah, yeah. And I was kind of surprised that he was willing to shelter him from, some bones and stuff because
Yep.
in my in my opinion, Ellie's seen a lot worse. So,
Hmm. And she did
fair
say that
enough.
in the video
Okay,
game
yeah.
too. She was like, "Yeah,
And also we saw that plane as well, which crashed.
yeah," and he
Um,
explains it like, "Yeah,
a
like
plane, yeah.
yeah, like, oh, you got to fly, and then it must have been so cool." And then he was like, "Yeah, it really wasn't all that cracked up to be because it was like you'd be on a plane, and then it would cost $12 for like a bottle of water or orange juice or whatever the fuck it was."
Hmm.
And yeah, she's like, "It's still cool that you got to fly," and then he was like, "Yeah, but so did they." And
Yeah,
then,
Bossman. It was amazing. It was an amazing episode.
hmm yes, this
Yeah.
was. And then what happens is Joel is like, all right, I got to go here to go get my shit and got to go like get my stash. And then Ellie's like, oh man, have you ever played this video game? It's this one fighting video game where blah 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 blah. They talk
Mortal
about
Kombat 2.
Yeah, they talk about basically like Mortal Kombat or the equivalent to Mortal Kombat.
Really, with Mortal Kombat 2 2003, that seems a bit.
No,
That seems a bit late.
Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance was, I think, around that time, and it was
Yeah,
like a
because
video game that was,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, because like the films came out in the 90s. Yeah, in the
hmm
90s, I'm sure. Yeah, it's kind of surprised to see Mortal Kombat 2 as an arcade game, but
yep.
fair enough.
But then, okay, pretty much what happens is Joel goes to check his like stash out, and Ellie goes down to the basement area or like the equivalent of like the basement area where she sees an infected and she gets up close to it, slices it, and then eventually just stabs the shit out of it just because she doesn't give a
Yeah,
shit.
well, yeah, 'cause, like kids are weird, and we were kids ourselves, and it's amazing what we do sometimes. And in a way, like we do stupid things when we're young. You know what I
Hmm
mean? And like this, like she sees this, and I think almost it's infected. Like, you have to remember they're not dead; they're infected.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's almost like playing to a degree.
Yep.
But she cuts it open and then she puts it out of his misery was probably the best thing. And she also managed to get some Tampax while she was down there too. So
Yep.
good for her.
Yeah, and then she was like, "Yeah, this shit is picked clean my ass." Because like Joe was
Hmm.
like, "There's probably nothing here," and then she's like, "Yeah, that's some bullshit." And then yeah, after the duo depart, she asks like how this began, and apparently this is a fan theory, which kind of makes sense. Because yeah, Sarah didn't eat any of the cookies in the first episode. Joel didn't eat the pancake mix or the biscuits or the cake because they were spared from the infection. And then after explaining the grim origins of how this world came to be, Joel and Ellie came across that grim like mass grave, the one that Joel was like, "No, we don't need to go this way because you don't need to be seeing this." And then,
Yeah, we're about to get onto that, boss man. About to get onto that.
yep,
What I liked about that was the cutaway because we see this like all these people who have been murdered by the way, and we see like the cloths or the
yep,
clothes of a baby and the woman and the woman which was her mother,
yep.
and then obviously we get the flashback and then we
And
see
now we
those
get
same
to the part,
materials
yeah, and then we
on the people who were alive at that time, so you knew what was going to happen to them.
Yep, and then you get to the best part of the episode because the show cuts back 20 years to September 30th, 2003, just 4 days after the outbreak begins in the suburbs of Boston, and people are being rounded up to go to the QZ, but you know what really is going to happen. And Bill is watching this go down in his basement while he waits for the agents to leave. And Bill is no amateur survivalist. He's got a gun. He's got all this kind of shit that would make Rambo jealous, according to what the description says.
Let me tell
Uh,
you something, Jose.
yep,
Like these sort of people, like Bill, in real life, these tinfoil hat fucking basement dwellers, who've got a fucking array of guns and stuff. I, I, I'm, in this real world, I mock them, you know, because I don't ever expect a zombie apocalypse to really happen in real life.
yep.
But
But there are people
there is a
like this
time,
that, yeah,
yeah,
yep,
yeah, there is a time when these sort of people come in very handy, and it's now. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
It's now,
So,
yep.
a self-sufficient survivalist like Bill, this is his dream scenario. You know what I
hmm
mean?
And honestly,
Yeah.
according to what Yahoo says, Bill is living his best life in a post-apocalyptic America. I couldn't disagree with that. I'm like, the motherfucker is literally just going around doing all kind of shit. Like he's going through like making steak and getting wine and getting vegetables and fruit, and he's just doing what he's got to do to survive.
He goes to the Home Depot and
Yep.
he's got a whole fucking store full of stuff that he can get. Nobody's raided that place yet. He's got it all
hmm
to himself. The country store, like when he fills up these tanks, he's using the most expensive petrol, and even then, like I saw it 91 cents.
Yep.
Oh my god, those were the good old days, man.
Yep. Yep. I remember those
When
days.
fuel was so much, when fuel was so much bloody cheaper than
Yep.
it is now. But he fills up barrels and barrels of fuel in his boat, in his truck, and he just stocks up. And even in his own like community, even within his own home, he's got like a wine store.
Yep.
So he's got wine to go. All of that is, yeah. he's setting everything up for like the ideal fortress.
Yep. And then, okay, it fast forwards to 2007, 4 years later, where Frank comes into the picture because he falls into one of his traps, and Bill's skeptical at first because he's like, I don't let any motherfucker in here. But then he reluctantly invites Frank in for dinner, and they clean up, and then Bill has like running water, and it's basically the equivalent to a Four Seasons hotel, even though the world has gone to shit. And then Bill starts to let his
Yeah.
guard down, and the two share a meal
Hello,
together.
Jim.
Yep.
Hello, Jim. Like, we take things like
Hello.
showers for granted.
We do.
Like you don't know when the last time some of these people had one.
Mm-hmm.
And how good it feels just to be clean again, wiping all the sweat and grime off your body.
Yep.
I mean, it must feel fantastic. A hot shower as well at that. Because he's obviously got the gas set up for him and everything. So yeah, even the
Yep.
food and the wine and everything, he's like overwhelmed by it. Probably the best meal he's had in years.
Yeah, it's like a 5-star
Yeah,
meal, but yeah. And then they
yeah.
go to play the piano, and they play Linda Ronstadt's "Long, Long Time." Coincidentally, the name of the episode on the piano, and they start to fall in love. And then Frank ends up staying with Bill in town, and now
Just a couple
town.
of things
Yep, go ahead.
they were like feeling each other out prior to them making out.
Mm-hmm.
Like Frank, he obviously comes across a little bit camp, but it's very hard to tell with Bill.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But there are certain characteristics with Bill regarding how he cooks his food and his wine and his preparations and stuff. Those sort of little queer characteristics
yeah,
that make him out to be more than what he is. And obviously the fact that when he said he had no girl, there was no girl in his life.
yep,
That immediately made it kind of opened them up to each other and stuff like that. So
yeah,
yeah, it was nice. It was nice.
yep. And then yeah, Frank, just as you're talking about, Frank has a different worldview than Bill because um, Bill comes off more as like conservative, like we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, and Bill's more like, hey man, let's try this shit. Let's let's have a garden, let's have friends. And Bill's like, nah, motherfucker, that ain't gonna
Yeah.
happen. Yeah, he's like, that does
Well, I
not
think
exist.
well, you saw like the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, and you saw that
Mm-hmm.
once only, obviously. But and they are two very different people, regardless of them being having the same orientation.
Mm-hmm.
They are very different people. But in a way, like Bill's isolated life and being brought up maybe in a conservative sort of environment never really let him be who he was supposed to be in the first place.
Yep.
So and now in a way he's able to he's freely able to express himself now because there's no one there to judge him. One thing
Yep.
I did like, one thing I did like was when they found the piano, when Frank saw the piano and he goes, do you know how much that's worth? And then Bill said, well, nothing now.
Yeah.
Made me
Nothing
laugh
now.
so
Yep.
much.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great line. So yeah, anyway.
Yep. But okay, yeah, they've got to, and they're often arguing about like Frank is not happy being like all by himself, whereas Bill is like, I gotta be by myself. And then this is where Tess and Joel end up coming into the episode, and Bill is just paranoid like a motherfucker. I like the subtle touch of like when he had his hand on his gun and when he had his gun kind of like off to the side, and he was pointing it like directly at Joel, and like later on when like Bill and Tess went off to go do whatever the fuck they were doing. He's like, yo, man, you better get this fucking gun out of my face. Like, I don't appreciate that type of shit. I thought that was a great touch in this episode.
I liked how it was like 10 years.
Yep.
It was 10 years earlier, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously Tess and Joel. It kind of shows you how long they've been together. What I mean, as well.
Yep.
And yeah, you could see the dynamics within the relationships. Like
Yep.
for Frank and Tess were very much on a similar wavelength. They were the wives of the couples, so to speak. But this is also 2003 as well. So
2007. Yeah.
sorry, 2013 even.
Yeah.
I'll take that
10
back.
years later. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like, but this is from a 2003 environment where they haven't really had a chance to evolve because
Mm-hmm.
kind of time stops at 2003 now. to a
Yep.
degree. So like when they're talking about the relationships, like Joel had no idea how to say it. He didn't say your partner, he didn't say your husband. He just said what's like dearest to you, what's important to you,
Yep.
meaning Frank. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't know. He's obviously not homophobic, but he doesn't know how to talk about it. I mean, we're talking about a period as well where don't ask, don't tell was still in the military. There was
Hmm.
no gay marriage. It never happens in this universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gay marriage, it still remains against the law. So yeah, it was at a period where still like queer acceptance wasn't fully around. Anyway,
Yeah.
continue.
Okay. Yeah, and then the friendship actually turns out to be quite useful after Bill kind of gets over like his fucking paranoia because now they start talking about smuggling shit, and Joel tells him like, "I can get you what you need for your fucking fence because I'm looking at your fence. It's got about maybe another year before it just kills over, and also you need to be aware of raiders because there's gonna be raiders that'll come in and try to take all your shit." And that's exactly what pretty much happens because 3 years later, Raiders come in. There's a big ass fire. Bill wakes up out of bed, tries to go to save Frank. Frank ends up getting shot, and Frank tells him just in case he's about to die,
No,
like, yo, yeah,
Bill get shot.
Bill gets shot. And then he's like, all right, dude, here's the thing. Call Joel. Like, do what you got to do. Call Joel. I made a list for you. Everything will be taken care of the best way possible. And then they end up surviving. And then
Well,
the episode,
this is what bugs me a little bit about this episode. You're telling me
mhm.
they only had one raid in 20 fucking years.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what I mean?
unrealistic. Well,
Yeah.
it would have been nice to have
You,
seen like
yeah.
one small raid, like where it's like this is nothing, and then the next time, like there's a couple more guys that come along, and it's a bit of a struggle, and then this third one is when it's like, oh shit's getting real in this bitch. Shit's like on fire now, and like somebody's getting shot, like that kind of thing. That's what I would have liked to have seen. Probably my only real critique in this episode. But the
Yeah.
episode jumps ahead 10 years to the present timeline. Frank is basically getting older, and Bill's also aged quite a bit, but they still love each other. And this is a world where it's like you get no say on how you live or die. You just get the days that you get. And Frank knows his
Oh,
time.
that's a good point.
Yep.
That's a good point. I did notice that. Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah,
Yeah, Frank knows his time
welcome,
is
Daniel.
coming. Yeah. Welcome, Daniel. Frank knows his time is coming. He's like, here's the deal. I want us to get married. I've had more good days with you than anyone else that I've ever had. I want to get married, have a great last dinner. I want you to take all my pills, crunch them up, put them in my wine so I could die in my sleep. Bill is like, no, I'm not going to do that. But ultimately, if this is what you want, we'll just go ahead and do this. And they both end up drinking the pill ridden wine. They both go all fall asleep upstairs. And then Joel and Ellie finally arrive.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Before we jump to that,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, this is a great comment here. Frank asked for toast on the
Morning
morning of his last day, a flour-based
flower based
product.
product.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're damn right. You're damn right. I just want to say how this scene here choked me the fuck up. Yeah,
It
like
did. It did.
for a start, like before all of that, we saw them having the strawberries, and we
Mm-hmm.
probably saw the most campiest Bill had ever been in this episode because he went, oh, like that
Yeah.
with the strawberries. But
Mm-hmm.
he must have not had the strawberry in years. Forgot how good they were for a start. But then you kind of assumed, with Frank being the more health conscious one and being probably younger than Bill, that he was going to last a lot longer. But then
Oh yeah,
obviously
and then
with
there
the
was that
10 year time
montage
jump,
too where they were running. Yeah, I forgot to mention that where
yeah,
they were running
yeah.
around. Yep.
But when you have the 10 year time jump, you do, and obviously Frank's now in a wheelchair and he's got some sort of medical condition. And also as well, but during the course of their time together, like you could see the influence Frank has had on Bill within their house because there's paintings in the house, there's plants in the house. Like the house
Yep.
is looking way more colorful and vibrant, like it's been lived in. When they were eating with each other, when they first ate with each other, they were the table length apart. Now
Yep.
they're sitting next to each other when they eat. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? There's all these little things, and you know, it just like it's just so beautiful. Like
Yep.
when they get married and
Yeah.
honestly, when they got married,
I think this is.
I was crying my fucking ass off. I
I
really was.
I think this is going to be probably candidate for one of the best episodes. No, we're not using StreamYard anymore.
Yeah, we're not using StreamYard anymore, and we are going to be doing a live stream of Quantum Leap tomorrow, Jim, just for you.
Yep.
Yeah, we're using the Melon app, as Bossman says. Daniel Vance says, during the strawberry scene, there's pollen in the air, and
It does look like
um,
cordyceps. Yeah, I thought that too. Like I was like, is there cordyceps floating around? Because I saw that
yeah,
shit.
but they're not really going down that route with making it
No.
airborne, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I missed the comment. Uh,
Oh. Okay. Anyway, Joel and Ellie
yeah,
arrive
so
to help. Joel and Ellie arrive to find a note informing them of what happened and like don't go upstairs. And Bill basically tells them like take anything you need, don't go upstairs because it's not going to be a pretty sight. And then they
hold on, hold on, hold
do.
on, hold on, hold on,
Yep.
hold on, hold on.
Yep.
So going back to Bill and Frank again, like
Hmm.
Frank wanted this to be his way of dying. He didn't want to live the way he lived anymore, and so he told Bill to like fill up his wine glass with all these crushed pills so he could die in
Yep.
his sleep. And what Bill did was that he also made sure that he spiked the entire bottle of wine. So
Yeah, because they
because
wanted to die
he didn't,
together.
yeah. And what I liked about this as well is that like he said, I lived a good life. I lived, I'm fulfilled,
Yep.
with the life I lived, and so he wanted to, he didn't want to like be, oh God, I'm getting all emotional, man. It's
I
just
know
such a
this.
different
This is
episode.
this is
Yeah,
going down. This
yeah.
is just one of those episodes, man, where it's like, man, it just fucks with you. It's that kind of episode where
Well,
it's like you're in the feels. You
well,
can't
look,
help it.
let, let me just expand on this as well, boss man.
Hmm.
Regarding, it's not necessarily about representation. It just shows you like you could do a really good relationship storyline with a couple of a couple of gay characters, and not have to make it um tragic. Like it is sad,
Yep.
but they lived a good life. Like amongst this apocalypse, two men who are reasonably different, but they were in love with each other, and they lived together to an old age, and that's probably more than most people could ask for,
Yeah.
especially as queer couples. We never really see gay people living together as old couples. Like that's just unheard of, even in today's world. There are certain people who are quite elderly who are gay, like I'm about to say Ian, not Ian McDermott. Oh my god, the guy who played Gandalf, whose name escapes me right now.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, yeah, but like himself, and um, they've it's just seeing an old gay couple live long, live happy, live together, die together. That's just great. No killing your gays off here. No gay tragedy. No murdering them off for the sake of
Shock
plot device.
value.
This was,
Yep.
yeah. This was beautifully done.
Yep. I would
So
not change a damn thing with the Bill and Frank dynamic. Other than the rating, I wouldn't change anything. Yeah, I hate Bill, but Frank makes them such a well-rounded couple. Bill rushes to kill people. Frank rushes to
yeah,
save. Yeah. Yep.
yeah,
Because
they
that goes back.
complement each other.
Yep, that goes back to that different ideology where Bill is more like conservative. He's like, no, this is my world. I can't have you fucking it up. And then Frank is like, come on, man, you got to chill. You got to be willing to try different things. And yeah, one is set in his ways and the other isn't, but they complement each other greatly.
Yeah, and end up living a decent life for it. And I really really love this episode. It was so beautifully done. I can't give it more praise. This is without a doubt a filler episode. Let's just be honest. At
Yes,
the same
and
time,
even then, I can't complain. Even then, I
yeah, I
can't
can't
complain.
look.
Yeah,
Filler episodes are guaranteed in every show.
yep.
Yeah,
And I called
like
that
there
last
will
week. I
be,
said we're due
yeah,
for a filler episode. I was like, it's
and
gonna
and
happen.
yep. Like
Yeah.
there's an episode of The Mandalorian where this guy has to deliver this woman who's pregnant with not pregnant. She's got like these alien tadpoles in the Mandalorian Star Wars. Yeah, and
Hmm.
he's supposed to deliver her, but they get stuck on a planet, and there's some aliens on this planet that's trying to kill them because Grogu, the baby Yoda, he ate some alien egg, and so now the mother alien is trying to kill everyone, and that's a filler episode. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's without that a filler fucking episode, but it was still fun to watch.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And sometimes the filler episode can just be just enjoyable for what it is. Yes, the main story doesn't progress. You know, if honestly, if the main stories progress as quickly as we wanted, we don't get 9 episodes. We get
No.
maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah,
You know
this
what I
would be
mean?
over within the
Yeah.
next week. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So,
But
Melon is
yeah.
not a gaming app. Don't worry, Commodore Boomer. I'll help you out tomorrow
Yep.
regarding this. I'll send you a link. It's just like StreamYard. Um. So, but yeah.
But okay, getting
But
kind of toward
yeah.
the
Yeah.
getting toward kind of the end of the episode, like after they see everything and Bill tells them everything, it's like they go downstairs and they find clothes. They do this big ass montage of just like finding clothes and getting ready to gear up to get the fuck out. Ellie and Joel, take
They
showers
have
and
a shower.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah, they
They
take
have a shower.
showers, they get dressed.
Ellie finds a gun.
Ellie finds a
But
gun and
sorry for interrupting, Jose. Like
yep.
when he reads the letter and like Bill doesn't know that Tess has died.
Hmm.
So he when he writes that letter and he assumes that Tess is still alive. Obviously, once again, it hits Joel pretty hard. He has to exit the room and grieve a little bit again because he just recently lost her.
Yep, and then
So
when Ellie, I know we're gonna kind of fast forward. Oh, okay. Also, when he writes the letter, goes upstairs, thought it was classy that we don't see it. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't do it that way. I'm glad
yeah,
that they
I'm very
killed
happy
them
we,
off
we didn't
screen.
see. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm glad we didn't see them dead.
yep,
When they go to have the flag on the front of the house,
yeah. It is.
like,
It's
we
newer
last
than we
saw it.
last saw it. Okay, yeah,
So,
but
but
then they,
yeah, but it's such a video game though, isn't it? Like he stocks up. He's got a car.
yep,
Got full of gas. He's got the battery charged. They got food. They've got clean clothes. And Bill, sorry, Joel is wearing Bill's clothes.
hmm,
I could tell with that lumberjack attire and stuff like that. And yeah, they got guns. My God, have they got guns?
yep,
Yeah, they got so many guns.
and then
Yeah, so,
pretty much the episodes ends with them getting in the truck, and then they pop in the tape, and then it's like, this is the artist of this song, and then it's like it's actually not that bad, and then they continue on their way. And honestly, I thought that was the perfect way to end the episode, and now I'm looking forward to the next
well,
chapter. Yep,
we get the shot of the window obviously as it ends, just like it is in the video game.
yep,
On the load screen and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was a fantastic episode. One of the best filler episodes we've
yep,
ever seen.
yep.
Without a
This is
doubt.
one of those episodes that's going to win awards this year. Like I'm telling you now, it's going to clean up. It's going to fucking get ready to take a lot of awards home here in the next few months, and at the
We
end of
also
the
find
year
out
too.
just a couple of things. Like we found out a little bit when Frank and Tess were speaking to each other, but on the radio about how to warn each other.
Hmm.
And I do believe because when they mention songs and stuff, but I
Yep,
also do believe that when not Frank, when Joel and Ellie go into the basement of Bill's house, they find the
the
music
codes.
playing and it's on
Yep,
repeat and stuff. But I believe it was them sending a message at the end of episode 1. When we hear the
yep,
Depeche Mode song,
yep.
yeah, I believe that came from Bill. On his device. That was from them, so to speak, because they were the ones messaging each other in the first place. So
Okay, and
yeah.
also to add to an important plot point, like when Ellie's like, "I'm sorry about Tess," and then Joel just has his hand up like this, like he's like, "Don't," and then he's like, "All right, here's the deal: you don't bring up Tess ever. We keep our histories to ourselves. Number two, don't show anyone your fucking arm because if you show anyone your arm, they will shoot you on sight. And then the third, you're gonna do what I say when I say it." I thought that them taking that from the video game was a really nice touch. And now I look forward to seeing them on the road. I look forward to them getting to Henry and Sam, which is going to be the next chapter of the series.
I think that makes it really sad is that Bill got to say goodbye to Frank.
And Joel
Frank.
didn't.
Well, they never. Well,
They never
Bill.
really were friendly anyway. Like even in the
No.
letter.
But Bill never said goodbye to Frank. But they both died at the same time.
Yeah.
They both died in their sleep. They said goodbye to each other.
Yep.
Joel did say goodbye to Tess, but he couldn't be emotional. He
Yeah.
couldn't kiss her. He couldn't really hug her. She was infected. So he did it the best way he could.
Yep.
Daniel Vance says I had to reevaluate my previous ratings of this episode because this one knocked it out of the park. Unfortunately, once again, I won't be able to create a poll, but I don't have the. I'm not like Cheeto. He knows how to do all that shit. But let's
let's go ahead and
give
wrap it
this
up now. Go ahead.
let's give this episode our rating.
Yep.
Look, I have to give this episode a 10.
It's getting a 10. Yeah, it's going to get a 10. I mean, the only thing I would change is the rating sequence. Like I would have it be built up, but that's a very small, minute complaint, and even that doesn't take away from it.
This was, like I said, this episode began with Joel and Ellie, so it ended with Joel and Ellie. So it was bookended by both of them. I was a bit worried at first. I was thinking to myself, how long is this episode? And when I realized it was 1 hour 15 minutes, I thought to myself, okay, fair enough. That's plenty of time.
Yep.
Because episode 2 was less than an hour, whilst episode 1 was like premiere length, like an hour and a half, pretty much. So I'm happy that they are like giving episodes the time it needs to fulfill its requirements. And yeah, even though we didn't get much progress with Joel and Ellie, we
didn't need it.
Got enough.
Yeah,
they stacked up. We got a really good story about what it's like to be in this world, and two people in love and having each other's backs and just growing old with each other as well. Fantastic, just a great episode.
Definitely going to be an episode of the year contender for sure when we look back on TV.
For me, this is the greatest filler episode
I've ever seen. Yep.
Yeah, the greatest filler episode I've ever seen. I say that as a compliment. And once again, there's nothing wrong with filler episodes when they're done right. Every show has them. Every show needs them. If you want to give a show 10, 12 episodes a season, you're going to have that odd filler episode or that one bottle episode. That's a guarantee. And it's written really well. I know it pisses people off that we're not progressing with the story, but
we don't need it every episode. Yeah. And I actually like the fact I like the fact that we didn't get a lot of killing in this episode. I like the fact that we didn't get a lot of combat. I was like, we don't need it every episode. Now you can pick it up. Next week's episode, I expect it to be a combat heavy episode. I expect Joel and Ellie to kill people.
I also like in this episode too, like the performances was just fantastic by the actors who play Frank and Bill. Like honestly, absolutely fantastic. The mannerisms and like when they're getting older as well and all of that. It's the actor who plays Bill, like so much emotion was shown in his face through that beard, mainly with his eyes. It was absolutely such a good episode. I don't know what the people in the chat are going to be giving it. As I said earlier, I'm giving it a 10. Jose,
it's a 10.
It a 10. We'll give you guys a minute to let us know what you think of this episode.
Yep. But go ahead and write your ratings down now, guys.
I'm already looking forward to episode 4. So, So, as I got you, also Jose, quickly talking about the Royal Rumble. I know yourself and Ginger didn't like it too much, but from what I saw, some of the highlights, it wasn't necessarily too bad.
Yeah,
lots of early eliminations, but that spot between Ricochet and Logan Paul was one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
You could tell they rehearsed. You could tell they rehearsed that shit though when they did it. You could definitely tell.
You have to get that. You can't afford to.
Exactly right.
You're exactly right for it to work. And look, Logan Paul, by the way, has done himself no favors. Like the guy who's become too greedy, and he's already a millionaire.
Yep.
But in my opinion, he has a career in wrestling. As much as people might want to not like that because he's a YouTube star, I think he's quite a talented wrestler.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, he's a good wrestler. I mean, he's a shit human being, but he can go in the ring. I will give him that.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
All right, guys,
And
start giving your ratings if you haven't.
yeah, so I want some ratings here, please, motherfuckers.
Yep.
Okay, we got Daniel Vance saying an easy 10.
Easy 10. Yep.
Yeah, easy 10 from Daniel Vance. Okay, I'm not sure if Bossman will say the same as well, but um, we can always ask him in our own personal chat a little bit later.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, regarding the Royal Rumble, yeah, we'll see if Cody Rhodes ends up being in the main event. At
Yep.
this moment in time, I don't even think Roman Reigns looks at him as on his fucking radar at this moment in time.
Yep.
Bossman also gives it a
A
10
10.
as
Okay.
well.
Wow. That's going to be, I think,
Yeah,
unanimous. This is going to be the episode that gets a
well,
10.
everybody's been giving it tens. It's absolutely fantastic. Now there are, unfortunately, there are people who obviously have a real issue with this sort of stuff because we are talking about gay characters and so on. But nevertheless, gay people exist,
Yep.
and this is a very good way of, portraying them. And if you have an issue with gay people, then you should look within yourself and think to yourself, why do I have an issue with gay people? I know I saw some people on Twitter saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're showing this. Children could be watching this. This is an R-rated show, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, they
It's an
advertise it literally
R-rated
in the
show."
beginning. Do not watch this if you're a child. Like, they give you that warning, like, this is for mature audiences only.
And with it, look, and they're talking about the sex scenes. Would it be straight sex scenes or gay sex scenes? This is an R-rated show. You wouldn't
Yep.
want your kids watching straight sex, let alone gay sex. So this is R-rated. So that's a stupid fucking argument. People think that there's an agenda being pushed down our throat. I see straight people on the show, on television shows every fucking day. What's the problem with some gay people, huh?
Yeah, like,
Get
okay,
your shit
before we go,
together.
we gotta complain about this bullshit with these people being like, they made Last of Us woke. How the fuck did they do that? That's what I'd like to know. Like, how is it woke? Because I saw that on Twitter too. It's like they ruined the show. They made it too woke. I'm like, what the fuck are you complaining about?
Dude, if it's not straight white males
Yep,
in every
it's
aspect,
woke.
with women
Yep,
only being, yeah, it's woke.
yep,
I mean, and women are only there to be sexually oogled at, and maybe the odd token character here or there who you might not notice might get killed off within the first 5 minutes. But other than that, it's got to be straight white males because anything
yep,
else for some reason is not acceptable and it's woke and it's a fucking agenda. But
yep,
other people don't fucking exist in this world. It's fucking crazy. You know what I mean?
yep.
I'm calling Nerdrotic or Nerdrotic is part of the fandom menace.
Mm.
And it's not Phantom, it's fandom. Fandom menace will have an issue with this. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, funny enough, Critical Drinker, who I despise, by the way, people like Critical Drinker, don't like him, he's a dickhead. But
Mm.
nevertheless, he didn't have too much of an issue with this episode. And because he didn't, his fucking fascist, bigoted fans were wondering what the fuck's wrong with him. Because the reason why they like Critical Drinker is because he does have issues with diversity and and people with different sexual orientations and stuff like that. So for him not having an issue for once, they were upset by that. You know what I mean? Like, how dare you? You're supposed to hate people who are different. Critical Drinker.
Yep.
So yeah, and say with Nerdrotic will probably have an issue with this. I mean, even though there were white men in this episode mainly, you
Yep.
probably have an issue with this.
There's going to be people that'll have a problem with
Yeah.
it, and you know what? It's 2023. Grow the fuck up. This is not the 1950s. That's all that needs to be said.
Yeah. Stop getting triggered over irrelevant things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, we've already had the fucking M&Ms taken away. We're already mad at the fucking Xbox for having an energy saving feature. Tucker
Oh
Carlson, Tucker Carlson. What the fuck are you going to be mad about next? You fucking twit waffle.
yeah, exactly. God, he's a white supremacist who used to wear a bow tie.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Like they have real issues with. It's amazing with the fucking M&Ms. Yeah,
Yep.
it really
I
is.
laughed my
It really
ass
is.
off when I first saw that too. I was like, "We're gonna get pissed off over M&Ms now. We're gonna cancel M&Ms, a thing that has been around long before either one of us was here."
And
Jesus.
energy saving on an Xbox, like
Yep.
I can't believe that's big. Like things that are good, you have to criticize. Like, where are we? It's like I
We
just don't
we
know where we are
we
as a planet.
we as a planet have failed. I could tell you that we failed. We deserve whatever
Yeah,
we get. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And you guys deserve to be on subscribing to NerdTube because we're the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Sign
Yep.
us out, Jose. But before you
Yep.
do, I just want to say that I'll be back tomorrow with Commodore Boone as we talk about the latest episode of Quantum Leap. And on Wednesday, I'll be doing a recording of the Bad Batch because I need a break from all this live streaming. And on Thursday, I'll be back with Cheeto as we talk about his favorite television show of all time, that is National Treasure. So yeah,
Yep.
so keep an eye out for all of that. So take us out, Jose.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am DLZ 101. With me is Mario. It is implied in the game that Bill and Frank are in a relationship. Yes, they were. All
Yep.
right. So I am DLZ. With me is Zam. Zam, thank you very much for joining me. And we will see you guys next week for Last of Us Episode 4. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe.